running smoothly. Let me get some water before we start. But we're good.
I'm gonna get something to drink as well.
Well, here we are. In the background, you can hear baby Blart going absolutely bananas. She's very excited for this week's episode. So, we've started the stream, and we're off to a great start. I can tell. So, how are you all doing today? Is there anyone? I can see you out there in viewerland. So respond in the chat if you are. Let me know how your weekend was. It was very warm where I was. It's very jungly today. We had a thunderstorm roll through, but we are doing okay. Stalling while my co-hosts both get some beverages. That's what I like to hear, Anshu. Tired and done with all the shit. That's good to hear. And oh my goodness, Cross 13, ladies and gentlemen, and by that I mean it's again they're like 5 of you. Cross 13 just hit. We'll probably shout them out during the actual stream, but just hit 1,000 subs on YouTube, and man, I proud of you, Cross. You've come a long way. I'm a little jealous because I thought I would get there first, but I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who deserves it more right now in the biz, so to speak. You've been just absolutely grinding it, and it's pretty cool to see that you made it. Just a moment as I post the link in various Discords and whatnot.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. I have been carrying the show on my back solo, as you know, I am wont to do.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
We got Blind Eye here.
Hell yeah. So far, we got Hanshu and Cross.
We do indeed.
Cross is eating right now. Like, he waved the magic rod or something. Like, Jesus.
I was just saying before you got back, like that was an explosive. It's funny actually. I remember for myself when Machina came out and I started posting Machina runs, I went up like 200-300 subscribers in like, oh my god, Darauco. He's here. I know you. As pretty as Girard, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're running a little bit late. Raw was experiencing some technical issues with BlueStacks, which never happens on the show. It's highly irregular, very unusual, and I think they're all resolved and fine and good, but this time we shouldn't have another fiasco with the whole, fapping about for 30 minutes trying to get it to work before it actually does.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely don't want a repeat of that.
Hello, Poto, D-Knight, Tree Void, good to see y'all. Here he is. Here's the man.
Hanshu, Cross, 13. Darako in the chat. As pretty as Drew in the chat. Pateau, Cedar, D-Knight. How you guys doing? Cross 13. Shout out Cross 13. 1,000 subs yesterday. Phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I was just telling Blar, it's like he waved like a magic wand or some shit, and he just shot up.
I'm guessing it's like the new Shinryu stuff is, he makes good content that, like, if you're trying to learn the game and understand what to do, he's a good person to follow. And so people are probably looking and be like, how the hell do I beat this check fight? How the hell do I beat the 6-man? And they're like, Defo, what do I do? And his name comes up and they're like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. All right, I'm going to follow this guy. It's a pretty good boost.
Yeah, for sure.
Treewood and Poto are cutting to the heart of the matter, which is that some girl is feeling under the weather this week, so she's taking the week off. Lifestream has a generous PTO policy, and so she's taking a well-deserved mental, physical, spiritual health day, and consequently everything's going to shit because she's in fact the glue that holds this ship together.
No, we're perfect. We're on time. Everything. I mean, what time is it? 7:46. It's great.
Yeah, 7:46.
Yeah, it's great.
Speaking of which, yeah, if you guys are ready, we can go live.
Yes, I do believe so. Let's do it.
Blind Eye?
Yeah.
You have the song?
Of course, always.
Yeah, like I said, all
oh god,
on time. We're ready.
I did. I really had it, and then I lost it. because I went away from the screen. I got it now. All right, you ready?
Roll.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Now it's time to start the show with Bl'Artagnan, Raw Life, and some girl. This is the Lifestream.
Yes. Hello. This is the live stream. I'm Raw Life. Welcome to the live stream number 48. I'm not alone. I'm joined by your friend and mine, Bl'Artagnan. Say hello to the people.
Hello, people. How are you all doing? We are having a very warm day up in my neck of the woods, a very thundery day, but a good day overall. And, man, viewership is reminding me that we really need to redo our point rewards. It's been a while since we've looked at them, and they're a little out of what's the word? Like, out of tune, I guess. I will say I'm checking my pulse right now and hydrating.
Yeah, me too.
And we really need to get rid of the one that put someone in timeout, because that was just an invitation to bullying. So anyway,
Yep. I'll fix that. At least the chug of beer is gone, because I have a feeling I would have already chugged like 6 beers, and we'd be in
that
big
was that was a rough time. Oh right, Poto, updates on baby Blart. So as you know, last week she began eating solid food. So this week we started off on a whole bunch of mushy food. So she's had potatoes, sweet potatoes, pears, spinach, watermelon. She just straight. I was at a pool party and I had a slice of watermelon. She was in my arm. And she just leaned over and just went chomp and just started chomping on the watermelon. It was awesome. Speaking of which, she's also had her first foray in a kiddie pool, and she enjoyed the heck out of that. So she's been doing just great. You can hear her in the background complaining up the storm. Very grumpy now that she's not on air with us at the moment. But you know, baby schedules are a mysterious thing. I'm not alone though either. Well, Raw and I aren't alone either. We got our buddy Blind Eye here. Some girl is taking a well-deserved sick day, mental health day, PTO day, vacation day, whatever you want to call it. Basically, we're very work-life balance oriented here on the live stream, and she is taking the week off. So we got Blind Eye here to talk about that hornless fella, among others. Blind Eye, how you doing? Blind Eye, how? Where'd you go?
How you doing, man? Are you okay?
Oh God, are you okay?
Oh my God, he's not okay.
Yo, can you hear me? Hello?
Oh goodness, was scared for a second.
I was like, no fucking shot. This is gonna happen too.
It's like, oh god, another technical issue. But good evening, guys. Things are going pretty well. I'm actually glad you were talking about the pool, Blar, because I went to the pool myself. So that was a good time.
Oh yeah, no, I'm guessing down by you must be excellent pool weather these days.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, well, speaking of pool weather, Raw, right there, dealing a crushing blow to an innocent pool goer, beach dweller, beachcomber.
Yeah, I'm getting my cam warmed up. I do a budget cam run series. You haven't seen on my YouTube because I'm saving up until I have 100 runs of it, and then I'm gonna drop them all at once. It's called Budget Cam. He's my favorite character. Final Fantasy 11 is my favorite game, and I don't just like him because he's super powerful. I love him and all of the lore and all the stuff about, what about him. The things that I know about him are good things. So I'm a big fan of his. So that's what the whole show is about tonight. We're just going to do how to take Cam through every single event that's ever been out. And it's hard to take him because, he's not that good, but he's my favorite. So
Lord,
we'll make it work. That was in the last week, right? That was the day before.
Yeah. The event dropped the day after our last stream. We actually, if you recall, spent a bit of time talking about Cam, but I figure we'll dig a bit more in depth onto him and his banner mates here tonight.
Yeah, there's quite a handful.
Yeah, there's a pretty decent amount to talk about, especially given that there is going to be an event dropping tonight, which we were going to cover now because I figure, talking about it a week after the fact is a little bit snooze. We'll probably touch upon the fight after getting some hands-on experience with it next week, but we can look at it kind of in theory from here, or in practice if you play JP, which we have not.
So you guys want to do you guys want to run through the boss rush? I'll do the cam cheese. I'll show it off, like how hard it is, while we talk about
yeah.
the banners or what.
Sure, yeah. Hop on in there. You put your team together. We'll throw up the usual poll, and we can get into it. We're probably going to go least to most interesting as far as the cam banner goes.
Easy. We got Final Fantasy X guy here. Least
don't look at me. Blindness the one who helped me come up with the itinerary, so this is he co-signed this.
Blind Eye, I will
Interesting.
say
Coat
before
Mellow?
we get into it, Coat Mellow, what's up, man? Before we get into it, Blind Eye, you've been eating, man, and then the next event after the one tonight, you're gonna be eating again. Final Fantasy X supremacy around these parts, huh?
And it doesn't end there, man. Shit, there's an FF10 rework after this as well.
Who the fuck?
There's a reason he's been doing the rounds on the talk shows. He's got to talk them up.
Pain comes out with Gabran Cycle,
And Tidus is right after that, right?
No, Tidus is
Tidus before that. Tidus is next.
Before that, oh God, you're right. Tidus, Jesus Lord. The timeline's all. Oof.
So the last show we did, Cam was coming out the next day, and we touched on his kit, right? Right, Cam was coming out the next.
Briefly, but not. I mean, we talked about it more in the general, like, you know.
I think we mainly just talked about his FR condition.
Exactly. We talked about kind of the discussion, and I get controversy probably isn't the right word to use here, but you know the FR, which is, you know, the zeitgeist around Cam, which is, you know, he's all FR bug stream, whatever you want to do.
How about this? We'll jump in once we start talking about Cam. We'll jump into the 6-man, and I'll show you how to skillfully use his cheese. Until then, we'll do some co-ops with chat while we talk about the least interesting. That's not my quote. That's Final Fantasy X.
Well, okay, here we go. So, starting with the least interesting, we have Final Fantasy IV's Palom.
Whoa, dude! What have I done? I actually haven't used him since this, but he is still blue, so you never know. Depending on how much you guys talk him up, maybe I'll bring him.
I was gonna say, bring him to the co-op. You blued him. It's Palom guy time. So, Palom got he got the C90, got the rework, bringing him kind of up to par, and he is still Palom. So what he basically is with his LD is he's a I'm trying not to do
damage.
Yeah, he's pure damage. I was trying not to do he's Ice Lightning, Ice VV. I was trying not to do that. So he's a rebreaking free turn on break ice damage magic attacker. That's all he really is. I think he has some rebreak in there now, which is handy. But pretty much what you're getting with Palom is every time his turn comes up, you're going to get a pair of quad HP attacks, and he's probably going to say something dumb like, "I'm the greatest black mage ever" or something, and that's just part of the
character
package, I guess.
It's personality.
But, yeah. Photo. We will ban anyone who uses their BT phase because the only person who would be able to stop us, some girl, is not here. That is to say, she would be the one using the BT phase in that case. We've seen how that. Oh, Yoshi, shout out to Navarre. Yeah, no. Navarre, if you're watching this, you pulling Palom? I hope so, my guy. Final Fantasy IV guy over there. Shout outs to Historia Crux. But yeah, so Palom, he does okay. I mean, his damage is okay. I'd say the big thing he suffers from, because he imperils his own element, which is nice. Rebreaks your cool ice. People keep saying, oh, the problem with Palom is he doesn't have a BT or an FR, and so you're comparing him to that. And I'm like, I mean, whatever. You get what you get what you invest in, and so he's kind of a budget unit in that sense. Even if you can blue his armor to make him good, ultimate weapon to make him good, stuff like that. I'd say the thing that he really suffers from is that he's the first. Well, no, okay, we just got jacked, but he's the second of these.
Turn hoggy.
Yeah, these kind of turn hogs, but not just turn hogs, because that's a broad umbrella. He's the extra turn on break character beside Jekt, and Jekt has the advantage of a BT phase, and his EX hits like a truck, and those are cool things. Palom doesn't really have quite the same level of oomph as Jekt, and now in this day and age with every action counting, because each action you take charges the FR of the boss, and it or if you're in force time, uses one of your precious 10 FR turns. you want each of those actions to be super impactful and matter a lot.
So when he gets when he breaks the target and then goes again, what you're saying is it counts as 2 turns during force time. But I mean,
Yeah, like,
how many
like, I
times?
know before it didn't count against us because it was like, oh yeah, like the turn count didn't get influenced, but like orbs would go down. It's essentially the same thing with the Shinryu timer. Like it goes down.
Yeah, it's kind of a more severe version of the Shinryu of the Lufenia orb thing, because with the Lufenia orb you can boost it, whatever. And or how do I put it? Like, the advantage of it is it's turn efficient. You get 2 4 HP attacks for the price of 1 turn. That's a lot of. I mean, that's basically, it's like a Machina attack or something like that, which is cool. For turn efficiency. For action efficiency, though, it's not as exciting. It's not as cool. Just because you're caring about charging the enemy FR gauge or using your own FR turns, and I'd argue, I feel like, I don't know if Palom quite brings what he does for action to the level that you'd want. Then again, maybe you can prove me wrong. You have the Palom that you would want to use. You have the fully invested Palom. You could show that off and show,
I have 5/5 UW and blue armor Palom, and pretty much just want to build on what you said, is that he's just surrounded by so many heavy single turn damage dealers with the dumps. How many dumps does he have on his back, especially in force time? He's doing what, 4 dumps?
Everything
he gets another
is 4.
turn. Okay, so he gets another 4. He gets another turn, and he does 4 more dumps. So he's just in a rough. Comelo with the sub for 10 months.
Heck yeah, Cope.
Thank you, Cope. He's just there's a lot of characters like that. I'm not gonna defend Palom because I blued him. I hold that L every day. Every day I look at that blue Palom and I have to deal with it. But if he's your favorite character, like Navarre, I'm sure Navarre's running him and having a good time because you can use him. It's just that realistically, he's surrounded before and after with people who just do it better, and that's especially in this era, that's a big problem. Not a problem, but when you're evaluating characters, you have to be realistic and say, is 4 HP dumps, a rebreak, use up a force turn, and then 4 more HP dumps, is that competitive? And it's not. So, Blind Eye, do you have any thoughts on our boy Palom?
Unfortunately not. Something that you guys forgot to mention, I guess we forgot to mention, is the AoE that he has in his kit, which would be his EX and LD. They're also split. And that's not,
Yeah. Like, I can't help but compare him in my head to Papalimo, who is a much older unit at this point, who feels like he kind of fits a similar role with, he does the enchantment, or not enchantment, but he does the self-imperil, he does the, sorry about that, alarm went off. Like, he does the multiple turns and the turn jumping, but I feel like he does it better. Technically, he doesn't have quite as many HP attacks throughout his kit, but just looking, I don't know. Raw, did you use Papalimo at all with your staff and everything?
Yes, he felt really good. I haven't used Palom, but I feel like, especially on his whatever that button's called, Xenogloss, I feel like that's a lot more than 4 dumps. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he did more dumps.
It was 4 dumps, but I think it had like gains and something, and it was a free turn.
Yeah. His kit just felt really smooth in using it. Everything just flowed into each other, and you build up, get Xenoglossy, blow somebody up with a nuke button. And this is also before Shinryu, so. But I see the similarities. I honestly, like I said, I haven't used Palom since he got his C90.
Well, this is the place to. I have to deal with a quick baby vomit issue, so if you guys want to move on Blind Eye, you want to tell us about the next person we were going to be talking about.
All right, so the next person that got his rework is Hornless himself, Kimahri of the Ronso tribe. So Kimahri got a pretty standard rework. He got more dumps across everything. So his skill 1, his skill 2, and his LD. The LD, curiously, has 3 dumps, and all dumps are 100% splash, so pretty good. It's also 100% heal. Oh, and it also extends his buffs. The reason why I'm talking about the LD is because with LD boards, he got Jump Plus Plus. And Jump Plus Plus used to, just do one dump and fully charge his EX, so he could use his EX right after. Now that move has 4 dumps. It's still instant turn, so it's pretty good all around. So it's doing more damage than Palom.
Hey, easy.
So now his EX. So his EX got the big juice. So the EX is 3 full dumps. So, nothing, too fancy, but you're not using this button for the damage. You're using this button for total blindness. That thing used to be a minus 100% accuracy for 1 turn to the enemy, and now got a +1 duration on it. So you have incredible control with this. Like, pair that with the fact that you can just instantly charge his EX with Jump Plus Plus, and you have so much control with Kimahri. And outside of a damage increase and the +1 on total blindness, you just got, just like generic stuff. His auras are still pretty good, pretty standard. He, for some reason, has a minus 20% HP damage taken generic buff that he puts on your party. Yeah, he also has a 20% HP damage cap up armor on his high armor.
I was gonna mention that.
So for some reason he's a defensive character, but 20% HP damage cap up. So good all around. We take those. I'd say Kimahri's issues would be, even though he got like an incredible damage increase, his personal damage still feels kind of bad.
Yeah, I was looking it over, and I mean, 3 HP attacks per attack is kind of run par for the course for supports. His auras look par for the course for supports, maybe a little on the lower side now, but like, you got the 20% HP up, 20% brave damage up, respectable attack aura. So they get the offenses. He checks the offensive boxes for a support. His damage isn't spectacular, but he has some solid defensive utility. I'd say his main issue is that he doesn't really stand out aside from that total blind thing. And so you kind of have 2 situations with Kimahri. You either have the I don't want to think, and I need to slot a 3rd slot character in here who just kind of is good in most situations. He's that character. If they have guaranteed hits, obviously his value takes a bit of a nosedive, but he still mitigates damage, heals, auras, batteries, yada. The other situation is when it's like, okay, well, I want to try to counter this boss through dodging all their shit. And the only other character who really does that, I mean, Galuf, Cater, you can argue, like Dodge Tanks, you can argue do that, but the only one who really fully protects the team dodge-wise is Edge, who has more damage and arguably has more better auras, depending on, he has less attack but more brave damage. I don't know how the math checks out there. But, more personal damage, imperils his elements, has lock for single target stuff, but doesn't have healing, doesn't have as much battery, doesn't have like defensive mitigation in the event that a hit does go through. Kimahri does have that, and elements can be a detriment as we go forward depending on the fight. So those are kind of the trade-offs if you want to directly have him competing or comparing to someone. But other than that, I think Kimahri's just he's a standard kind of solid, not flashy, gets the job done kind of fellow who will occasionally hard counter a fight because it's not prepared for total blind.
Hey, shout out Daroko. Thank you for the subscription. That's a new returning player.
Yeah.
Everyone give Daroko your team building tips in chat. He doesn't know how to build a team. It's very sad. If only someone in his life could help him beat all these old Lufinias and Shinryus. Do you have anything else about Kimahri, Blind Eye?
Not really. Bl'Art pretty much covered him well.
The blind is the only other person with blind full party evasion is, well, you said Edge, but doesn't Rydia do the same thing technically?
Oh, shoot, I forgot about Rydia LD does it as well. Okay, so there are 2 characters to compare it with. Thank you. Sorry, the whole BC saying Rydia sucks thing had me completely forgetting she exists, even though she's.
I mean, actually, I will say if Kimahri does work, like if you're fighting like an enemy that has like non-existent like guaranteed hits, he's gonna feel incredible if you obviously have him worked on and whatnot.
And I forgot about that. Baby Blood's right here in my lap, and she just reminded me of something you and I talked about a bit ago, which I did want to bring up, which is that the weird thing about Kimahri is that Usually in this era, oh my goodness, she's so upset with me now. She's very upset with me now.
I think we're talking about Kamari. It's upsetting her.
I'm gonna start to cry. Oh my god.
So normally for defense, like in this era, if you have a defensive team, you have like an off-turn damage team. And off-turn damage, usually when people say that, they mean counter tanks, and those usually need to be hit or come up with their own mitigation or evasion, like Galif. So Kimari is going to synergize best in this era with characters who do off-turn damage, who don't require the enemy to hit them. So stuff like Machina, sort of. He does have a counter, but sort of Machina. Kane is another good one. Trey, I guess if you want to use Trey. Trap characters.
Maybe later on Celeste, because
Celas, Furion are good examples. Howdy, Satotsu, good to see you. So those are going to be the best cases or best partners for him in this era, in my estimation. But like we've said, kind of generally good. Sorry, Baby Blart was very upset with me for forgetting that. But she does agree with Soraya the Ranger, our beloved mod, in that Hornless is kind of mid.
Yeah. Was that the last? Wait, was there 4 characters? Because it was Cam's debut.
Paladin
when it comes to these banners, Raw, where there's 2 BTs, it's usually like 4 total reworks, or 1 new character and like 3 reworks.
Yeah, so we got
pretty chonky.
The best unit in the game a year plus ago, is back with his BT plus and a reasonable rework.
The Paladin Sissel hype at the time, I said this in some Discord a while back, and I got a bunch of pushback, and so I want to double down and triple down because I'm right. Damn it. Paladin Cecil hype was unmatched. That was the most hype for months at a time. People just building up a unit. Paladin Cecil BT, and then people like, oh, RNA. She was announced and then dropped like a day later. I'm talking about like time to build up. Paladin Cecil was, dude, the game, you couldn't use the game for like an hour after he dropped. His BT dropped, you couldn't use the game. So discuss in chat why I'm right while we talk about his kit, but I just want to point that out. That I, with the great takes, my take is that he was the hottest, our most hyped character on release, maybe ever. And if you don't remember, you're misremembering. Did he get anything good this time?
He was up there. Lightning LDBQ felt like she was similarly hyped, but I'm not here to debate.
Oh,
yeah. Fundamentally solid point. But yeah, he was a very hyped unit. Oh, here she goes. So he got the goods, kind of the generic C90 goods. He got more damage. He got more auras. He has LD start for his LD buff, so that's cool. It lasts longer. I don't think there's anything like super noteworthy within the mechanics of the kit or like the description of the rework. Aside from just he does more damage and he hits good now, and he got his BT plus, which has HP cap up, which we all want. If it didn't have it, we'd all say it sucks. We know how that goes.
Yep.
So the thing with Paladin Cecil, and Cross is mentioning in chat that he's underrated, and I think he's right to say that. So the big hype that you're talking about is, that's an important piece to think about, because right now when people see Paladin Cecil coming back, they're like, oh, the last time he was here, he broke the game, which isn't accurately true, but he was the support for a very long time. It felt like, even people were like, oh, with Holy, and they have the Holy Element lockout, he's still good there and all this stuff. No one actually did that. Okay, except Mark on TCC. I remember he used Paladin Cecil to element absorb cheese something. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was the sanctuary, one of the first sanctuary keeper that absorbed it. He used it to re-break it over and over.
That was
yeah,
tremendous stuff from Mark. Shout outs to TCC. They'll be on later this evening. We'll be heading on over there once we're done here, probably. Cross, that's dangerous. No, we're not going there right now.
I think we should go there and stop the whole show for this.
No,
okay, all right, keep going.
Okay,
keep going.
Not after last time.
Keep going.
Howdy, Saban 6. Howdy, Drez. How you guys doing? So Paladin Cecil, he fundamentally doesn't change. His deal is he's an aura-based healing support with good offensive auras. Oh Lord, I'm so sorry.
All right, I could fill in, I guess.
And Blind Eye, please help.
All right, so Pistol Paladin says so. He got like generic buffs all around. He got more damage across his whole kit, and I believe his BT plus auras got improved, but obviously because he got BT plus. But his damage is overall pretty solid. 3 and then 4 on skill 1 and skill 2, 5 on LD raw. It still overheals the party. That's honestly like really good. The fact that he just overheals, because let me tell you, Braska having a 100% HP condition, and if someone just sneezes and you take like even like low damage and they can't heal, like it really sucks. Like he doesn't have HP reach. So the overheal is definitely nice. And then the EX got 5 dumps on it as well. What's really interesting is that his Brave and HP got buffs to it. So I don't know exactly what they were going with when it came to Paladin Cecil. When it comes to his BT plus, because I mean he did get BT plus, he got an extra attachment to it where I believe he got 20% brave damage cap up and 10% HP damage cap up without conditions on it. And then when the conditions are met, which is if the party is below 100% HP or the user acting is above 100% HP, they get 30% HP damage cap up and 50%. The thing about Paladin Cecil and people saying that he's like or he's not that good, if we look at these holy burst characters raw, right, like Kuja, Theodore, and now Paladin Cecil, and I think later on Minwoo, he's the only one with HP damage cap up.
Yeah.
That's valuable stuff. The thing with Cecil is, I was seeing, I forget where, someone was saying how like, he doesn't have as much utility as other supports, or they were talking about his utility. And Paladin Cecil's never really been about utility. His deal is he is numbers. He is, as far as supports go, he more so than I think almost any other support in the game, his deal is numbers. He gives you good numbers. That's good offensive auras. He gives you good attack from himself, like his own attacks. His EX dumps 5 times splashing and all that jazz. He gives you good defensive numbers with his defense and his HP overheal. He gives you good healing numbers. His heals are quite strong. He gives you Holy Enchant, which is more brave damage, which is more numbers. So technically, you could argue, he had utility in Lufania with Holy Orbs, but that shut up. And you mentioned the Brave and HP attack. That's actually kind of funny. That for me is a reference or a callback of sorts to when he first dropped with his EX. I don't know if you guys remember. Paladin Cecil's appeal when he first came here was he was this kind of very versatile third slot character who had incredible longevity, and in an age where before, like early EX era, or not early EX, but like way before LDs, before EX plus,
Chaos era.
Yeah, before Chaos even. I'm talking like Cosmos.
Oh yeah.
Skill uses mattered. Skill uses mattered, and you would run out of skills. And Paladin Cecil didn't have that problem. He had 6 uses of each of his skills, but he also had this sweet HP attack that did like 6 hits and then an HP attack.
Yeah, that was beautiful to press.
And you would use that, and you would spam the heck out of that. And every so often, you use a skill 1 or skill 2 to refresh the buff. Okay, whatever. Then he gets his EX that extends his buffs. So now you can just be spamming that HP attack. Use the EX every so often. Use skill. I need to battery the party. Skill 1. I need to heal the party. Skill 2. It was very incredible longevity there. That's not as needed now. Like, I mean, look at Vane's rework. He literally can't run out of skills even if he tried. The hardest part of Shulk using him in Shulk's event was making sure you used his non-plus skills so you could refresh them later. It was stupid. And so Cecil, it's like, I appreciate that you reworked his Brave and HP pluses, because otherwise they just feel completely useless. But I'm a little bit like, it's not. I mean, you're going to be spamming his skills now in order to charge his EX, which is his hard-hitting move. So it's there. We appreciate that they exist, but they're not. And I guess technically, I'm pretty sure there are FRs where like it's like, use a modified HP attack as the conditional, so he'll slot in there. And he brings good auras. Like his auras are still like, when he dropped, they were insane. And nowadays they're still like, what is it? I'm pulling up the numbers now just because they're worth quoting. Because they're 80% brave damage, 40% HP damage, 45 attack, which is not whatever. We don't care that much anymore. And that's not accounting for the fact that he also comes with that BT effect, which increases barrier damage by 50%, and adds to the caps for both of them, which is so that's just numbers.
And then on
Not game,
top of that,
not game-breaking numbers, mind you.
and
Good
then
numbers.
on top of that, he also has 10% HP damage cap up with his high armor, so that's 40%. Like,
Yeah, that's
a lot.
Garnet
It's a
levels.
lot. It's a lot for like this like defensive support character. Like, I was talking about how Kamari has 20%. This man just doubled that.
Chrono Crash, thank you for joining us. We will be talking about how broken Kam'lanaut is right after we finish talking about how solid Paladin Cecil is. Not broken, good, solid support. Well, basically, everything I said about Kamari, except replace the thing about blind being really good with holy being his like calling card
He's
here.
usable.
I'd say
I'd say more than. He also comes with a BT, which is not. I don't think his BT is necessary for him to be used and good. That's the thing. Is because he's a pre-BT plus character, and a fairly early BT character. I'd argue that a lot of his power wasn't put into the BT, and so you could get away with LD Paladin Cecil in this era, and he'd probably do you fine. Obviously not as good as using his BT plus, but especially like it's not like you're gonna be using his BT phase over someone else's if you have the choice.
Right, and then one thing, I don't think this is a con, but it's a cause of concern. It would mostly be for team building, because that's what this is all about. He's mixed. So what I mean by that is his skill 1 and his EX do melee damage, and his skill 2 and his LD do range damage. So there are certain conditions, like Kane, for example, where it's like you have to do range damage. It could get in the way. It's just like, obviously it's not like, oh, he's bad, don't put him with Kane. It's just be wary that those are the only buttons you can press while the FR time is active.
I think that's a good point. It's both a plus and a minus, because I think for some characters that's a big thing that holds them back, because it means, oh, you can only use certain skills. Cecil is kind of lucky in that for the most part it doesn't matter what button you press with him. So during those 10 FR turns, you could feasibly avoid his melee or range buttons if you're only trying to use one of them. Obviously, there may be suboptimal turns where, I have to pass on pressing his EX because I want to hit his ranged attack, but it is right that it changes how he plays if you have to play into that.
Yeah, just
although it also means he can hit more conditionals, since it doesn't really matter which button he's pressing as much.
Yeah.
Last note before I think we've covered everything we need to cover with him. Great Sword Ultimate Weapon, which is a pretty good Ultimate Weapon type to have. Kamari has Spear, which we forgot to mention, which is an okay weapon to have, but I think right now is a very good one to have because Kane is so good. But Cecil, Greatsword, you may have a better Greatsword unit to use on the same team as Cecil, but if you don't, hey, free bonus damage if you happen to have a 5 out of 5 Greatsword.
For Orin. For R2, like Blart does.
For Orin.
Okay, so Paladin Cecil, we talked about everyone except for Cam, right?
Yep, it's Cam time.
Yeah, now the star of the show.
So I'm going to do the Cam cheese while we talk about him. This is why people want him so badly. I'll give my opinion on it later, but keep in mind that you don't have to do that. Like, this is not the only usage for this character. I green Snow as well. I've never used Snow Overflow once, and to be honest with you, because we didn't cover it on the show, I don't know how to do it. And Snow's been good in certain situations. So Cam has a huge working as intended, not a bug, but a feature where you can get the force gauge incredibly high. But somebody want to go over everything he got. He got his BT plus, blah 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 blah.
Sorry, I was responding to CrossM chat there. So Cam, what he got?
Yeah.
He got. I don't know the name of what he got, but I'm pretty sure it's banned by the FDA.
It's the juice. He's juiced. This guy is juiced. He's juiced to the fucking gills, like big time.
Yeah, Cam got. Oh my god. We normally try not to go like super in depth on character kits, so we'll try not to get too crunchy here. But basically, he got more damage. He got the refunds between. He got the good stuff. And when I say the good stuff, 4 HP attacks on basically everything he does, which is better than most supports, but not like damage dealer level. So it's good damage. He's a utility character. He has better auras now, so he's helping the party a bit more. He now has AoE Paralyze on his Glacification Plush, which is awesome because I don't know if you guys use Cam much, but I hated using him because paralyzing one target usually just isn't that great.
It's not ideal, yeah.
Like if you're trying to disable the bosses, you want AoE paralyze, and if you're not, then like whatever. What's the point? Honestly, it's gonna make them fall out of the rhythm or something. I ended up finding it not as useful back in the day. So AoE paralyze, great. Let's see. He has EX start now, which I don't think he used to have. He has LD buff start now, which is great. That is of course good. Playing him, I noticed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so the way Cam's stacked buff works is once it gets to 5 stacks, using his skill to Esoteric Region converts it from the stacked version to the full version. I know they have names. We're not going to worry about that here because whatever. Cam is weird.
It's Esoteric 2, EX, and LD, I believe that does it actually, Blart.
Because I noticed when I used the EX at the start of the fight, and it went to 5 stacks and didn't convert until his next turn when he used another skill.
Yeah, open with LD. Open with LD, and then hopefully you never see that. I think it's called Frost Sword.
Desire of Providence.
Or Desire of Providence, yeah.
Yeah, or no, Esoteric Region is the weird one, or the stacked one. So I've been starting with his AA just so I can open with the EX anyway, since it automatically sets it. So that's just a weird little quirk of Cam. Cam always had these work quirks. If he gets broken, he loses a stack buff. It is a whole thing. You have to use the AA to get back. That's not really going to come up anymore because of the rest of his kit, which we will now get to. So on top of that, he has a burst weapon, and it is a good burst weapon. Shocking, I know. It gives HP damage, brave damage limit, HP damage limit, all 20%. So it's like similar to Vaughn. It's like a lot of good stuff that is fine to have. It's not the best in class, but hey, we'll take a little bit of all the good stuff, jack up all trades kind of thing. 50% brave gains, which is delicious. You love to see it, especially with he has a ton of brave gains between his attacks, and he gets brave back at the end of his turns. So it's just good times all around. All of that is kind of secondary to the unique effect it has, and it's the reason I think it's a 6-turn burst effect. Oh, right, I forgot to mention, I think Pessel's burst effect is only 6 turns, which is kind of slow or kind of short for what it does. But anyway, back to Cam. Anytime any of his party members attacks while Cam's burst effect is active, it will apply a trap called bondage from antiquity. Jesus, there's so many like weird phrases in Cam's kit. Bondage from antiquity, which increases the target's brave damage taken by 50%, paralyzes them, and warps the next player's or the next ally's turn to after them, a la Eldnarsh. And so that's a lot of stuff right there. That on its own, just stopping at the burst plus, is a ton of stuff, because Cam, he's bringing the paralyze, he's bringing Addle, which is an extremely potent attack and magic attack, down, so keeping you safe in multiple ways. He is buffing the party with auras, he's doing respectable damage for himself, he's got a bunch of brave gains, he's a brave gain up BT now, he's increasing the HP limit. Oh yes, his I forgot, his brave plus, which he uses to get Glacification Plus, is now a set to 0 then at brave attack similar to Bart's. So it's practically a guaranteed break. And it also extends his buff by 1 turn, which is great because it used to chew through those really fast.
No fans in shambles.
Oh god, I'm so sorry, Cross. And so he's dripping with utility here. And that's, then we get into this burst and good stats. It's crazy. It's this crazy, like, basically easy to maintain terror effect for 12 of his turns. And then from there, we go into his FR. Do we want to pause here to talk about non-FR cam real quick? Not that you should be running non-FR cam if you can get the FR, just because there's a lot to cover. Because I think people
non-FR cam. I don't think anybody's going to be running cam without his FR or BT. Just simply
yeah. Well, I'm not saying no BT, but I'm just pointing out, on top of everyone's going to talk about, the BT, the FR does so much damage, it's so broken, and it is. But it's broken on top of an already insanely strong-looking character to me.
I mean, for a utility character, yeah, his damage numbers are pretty. Like again, like you said, it's not like DPS level. Like he's not the second coming of Machina, for example, but like
he's also bringing party auras, and like that's the thing. Like you said,
yeah,
He's not the second coming of those things, but he's bringing respectable damage. He's not going to be, you know, outdoing Cecil in the aura department, but he brings some you know, respectable auras. Respectable is probably an overstatement, but he brings more auras than, like, I don't know, Reno.
And all that stuff is
rude.
important. All of that is important because as we're showing off the cheese, a lot of people are losing sight, like kind of like with Snow, thinking of Cam as this one, you know, this one-trick pony. You have to have don't pull for him unless you have Sid Rain's call. I mean, Selfie, Sid Rain's, or Kurasame call for the ice enchant. None of that. That's not true. He can work incredibly well on his own merits without taking advantage of what we're doing right here. Right?
Yeah, Cross is saying in chat basically to use Cam, like, the FR is good, but like the BT is almost like more of a exciting thing because, you know, okay, a bunch of damage, that's cool, but like his gameplay feels a lot more unique with the BT. Not saying you should be prioritizing that over. We're going down a weird rabbit hole here that I've taken us on. I mostly wanted to make sure people understood that he's a crazy loaded character before we get to what we're about to talk about. Crazy utility and all that, and other stuff, which is nice because honestly, Cam's always been kind of awkward and weird. So I'm glad they finally gave him his flowers. I'm a little sad some girl isn't here this week, just so that we could let the FF11 girl gush a bit about that. But anyway, onto the FR. Which is, I mean, Oh, was there something else?
No, Yoshi Pasta in chat says, Cam with call assist, good. Brasco with call assist, bad. We'll do that. If we have time, we'll do that. We'll do that in a little bit. But I've got opinions.
We're definitely doing that.
I've got opinions.
We're definitely, same here. We're getting into that.
So,
we're going to cover what the FR does.
And we're
quick.
about to use the FR. We just did.
Oh, we're
so
okay.
it's perfect time.
This off.
So go ahead,
Mark.
Talk through it? No, you go ahead.
Okay, so Cam's FR looks pretty simple on paper. It is, you got the two conditions per normal. It's 20% bonus when attacking with brave damage on turn. So I think we talked about this with Braska, you know, similar to differentiating from Cryle and like those off-turn damage kind of things like Kane. This is on-turn brave ice damage. Or when an ally attacks a stunned target on turn, again, not off-turn, this is only on turn, 20% per ally attack. That last part is important, the way I phrased it, because there was some confusion about this originally, but the devs in JP actually made a post explaining it. There was a unintended interaction with Cam's FR in that when you do a launch, as you can see here on Raw's screen, on a paralyzed enemy, every ally involved in launch.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Every ally involved in launch will
contribute to that paralyze modifier, and so you know you get the ice bonus, then you get 3 20% boosts on top of the 20% ice bonus because the two launch assisting allies also add to that bonus separately. And just to note, you know, it doesn't matter if all three of them are ice enchanted. None of them need to be ice enchanted for the quote unquote exploit to work. They just need to all be involved in a launch on a paralyzed or disabled enemy.
Right. The launcher needs to hit ice.
The launcher, to maximize your bonus, the launcher needs to hit ice, and so that's where like the Kurasame call or the Cater call or the Sellas in your party or whatever comes in is to make sure the launcher is dealing ice damage to maximize that and do 80%. And the reason that's nuts is, just to put it in context, there you can get like 75% boost in a turn if you use like a non damaging skill like, you know, Pinello or Cryle, or like the chargers can get an 80% bonus, but they aren't also dealing damage along the way. And I'm talking like big FR damage. That's why it's so huge. Is it's giving you charge level damage for the price of like an actual damaging attack. And Squex basically said like, this wasn't intended, but we're going to leave it in because it benefits the player, which that's happened before, but it doesn't always happen. Sometimes they say, no, that we're not letting that happen, we're fixing that so it doesn't happen. And sometimes they say, you know what, we'll leave it in. I think the example that people like to use is with Fang. Her AA didn't originally work the way it does. And they decided, you know, we'll let it give it the party HP damage up. That's fine. So, so that covers the, I guess the Kam'lanaut cheese, the Kam'lanaut exploiter bug. people are calling it a bug. I mean, it was a bug. I like to call it an exploit personally, just because I think it sounds nice. But there was some controversy in the community that we were talking about, which I think we're about to segue into. So, Raw, I know you have opinions there, but do you want me to talk about it, or do you want to discuss?
Well, real quick, I want to point out, I want to ask a question first off. The first launch that I did, or the first turn of force time, was plus 88 instead of 80. Why does that happen?
I want to say that's
when you force enhance a character, their abilities contribute a little bit to the like the FR bonus. I believe your Kane is force enhanced 30, right, Raw?
Yes, Kane and Cam are both 30.
Yeah, so I believe damaging abilities is plus 8, and abilities that don't do HP damage is plus 50, when obviously they're force enhanced 30. Okay. That's what Blart was essentially like comparing the plus 80 to let's say like a Braska Kiraga.
Yeah. And so speaking of Braska, actually, there was a bit of a rumpus in the community because people were getting a little bit grumpy because I suppose there were some other non-blind eye Braska fans out there who were upset that people were saying, "Oh, well, Braska's bad because you need to bring a call in order to make his, or you have to be so specific and like he requires all this extra work to use. But with Cam, you have to do this extra work too, and it's a double standard is what they were calling it, because with Braska, you need to use like a Lulu call or like run an all-fire team, whereas with Cam, all you really need to do is have a launch call on him, or bring a selfie friend, for instance, actually, would be another way to do it, or a selfie in party, either way. Basically, if you can guarantee launch every turn, then it jacks it up. I disagree with that assessment pretty strongly, because, and I think Raw can probably tag in pretty soon to clarify this. I think we're on the same page here. There's a big difference, I think, between doing okay damage with Braska, using it by, I'd argue, hamstringing yourself, bringing a Lulu call, or like, if you run a team of, Ignis Jekt Braska, or Ignis anyone Braska, I guess, that'll get the job done too. And dealing kind of what the intended amount of damage, versus with Cam, like, it's bringing Kurosame and bringing a Reigns call or a selfie friend, like, those aren't especially novel techniques. Those aren't really innovations at this point. If you're like saying to yourself, man, I can't believe I have to bring this Reigns call on my burst unit and a Kurosame call, wow. I don't have like a finishing point for this, but you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And so there's that start off. So the work involved is very different. The payoff involved is way more different, because with Braska, it's like, okay, I'm kind of focusing myself to get a respect, like the reward, the intended reward. With Cam, it's I'm doing the stuff I already was going to be doing and getting double or more of the reward. Does that make sense?
Yes, and also my thing with that point of thinking is, as you can see, I fucked this force rotation up. If you want to get it, I've seen people get 800, 900. I did 2 burst finishers that don't launch, so that's 80% right there. You're talking about Braska. You have to have fire enchant to get the most out of his kit, and Cam, you have to have ice enchant. Well, while that may be true, ice enchant and launch, whatever you want to say, for them to operate at their highest level are so unbelievably different. Cam, if you do that full investment and build your team around it, and you want to do this cheese thing, the reward is just ridiculous. 800, 900% force time. Whereas with Braska, as is on his own, and with just using the force time, trying to get the force time as high as possible, it's not on the same level.
Yeah, no, I think my highest, if I was attacking, I would get it close to 500, and then Kiraga spamming with Kane in the air, it would be about like 700, but that's, in hindsight, you're not doing much damage for going to 700.
Yeah, and Excalibur...
That's a bunch of 2-time attacks. Yeah.
Excalibur in chat is saying that Cam's highest level is 2 times higher than Braska. So you're looking at 2 times as much. Why'd that do 0 HP damage? Oh, he didn't have any brave
Whatever
on.
was refund. Yeah, no refund.
Well, anyway, that's my whole point. Braska, if you want to use Braska, that's phenomenal. He's great. That's fine. But I think it's kind of disingenuous. That whole way of thinking that, oh yeah, so it's okay for Braska, but it's not okay for it's okay for Cam to need support through party calls or through party members, but it's not okay for Braska. Well, no, it's okay for both, but what you get out of Cam is on an entirely different level. In every way, and that's just my
exactly. Yeah, so I think it's only fair we do ask the number one Braska fan in the world, Blind Eye. Any closing thoughts on this, or
I mean, honestly, when it comes to this, Braska's setup cost is higher, and don't get me wrong, I like the guy, right? Like, he summons my favorite character, but like, I'm not going to like be like, oh yeah, he's amazing, he's better than Cam if it's not true, right? Because I mean, he's not better than Cam.
Yeah. Like Excalibur is saying in chat, it's not like you're going out of your way to get launches. Like, that's usually the strat anyway for an on-turn team. So it's not a huge innovation there. So Cam is nuts. Cam is ridiculous. Raw pulled Cam, I pulled Cam, Blind I do pull Cam because I feel like there's so much fun.
Ironically, I got him on the free pull, I think yesterday off a blue orb, so I do have him. I just haven't built them. I'm satisfied with Braska personally.
I pulled him and did not get his BT, so that whole Cam experience there, it is worth noting. If you don't have his BT, his BT effects has a aura paralyze, right? Or it's a paralyze the whole time his BT effect is up. Correct.
It's a debuff, I believe, but
it's actual debuff.
It applies whenever anyone in the party attacks an enemy.
Okay, but it's framed, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so here's my thing. Cam without his BT feels not great, obviously, compared to the BT. His force requirement is that they're paralyzed, and he brings the AOE paralyzed with Glacification Plus, but it's unframed. So the first time I tried this cheese, I was knocking off my own paralyze over and over because it's unframed. So definitely a character you want the. Throw this on.
That actually, I know normally we talk about the fight at this point, but I'd actually like to, based on what you just said, segue into the other pair of characters I wanted us to talk about, if that's cool with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fine.
Speaking of an FR that requires paralysis and has unframed paralysis built into it, you all know that Desh is dropping tonight in a little over 2 hours. Or a little under 2 hours. And so, did either of you want to talk about what Desh is getting, or you want me to walk us through it and we can discuss a slightly less game-breaking FR, let's say?
I can talk about Desh, I suppose.
Alrighty, give us the lowdown on that fella, the Final Fantasy III guy, Tree Boys in chat, the lone FF3 representative out there in the Defo community, doing God's work there, Tree Void.
For sure. Dash got an interesting rework. He got damage across the board as usual when these characters get their tuning pass. Dash has always been this character that provides damage mitigation when it comes to magic or physical. Physical meaning melee and range. And that got buffed up to 99%. It used to be 80%. So you put one of these things up, and if the enemy hits you, minus 99% damage taken. Like, that is huge. And he has healing in his kit, so yeah. If they don't have any Brave, or they don't even Brave gains, it's most likely just going to do 0 because their Brave numbers are so low. Big shout out to the LD's buff. The LD got 5 HP dumps, but the thing about it is it does splash in between all 5, so the overall damage on that is pretty high. When we go to his EX got 4 full dumps, so even that has some meat to it. Pretty good across the board. Now we go to his FR. His FR is when selecting a thunder command plus 20%. So selecting, it doesn't count off turns. And when enemy cannot act, plus 30%. The FR itself paralyzes the enemy for 2 turns upon use. And I guess you can just take it from here, Blart, since you wanted to talk about paralysis.
Yeah. So with Dash, we're looking at how much was it?
50% in total.
Yeah, so it's 50% total. Although the way it counts up is kind of weird. It's like 20% on ally turns and 30% on enemy turns, basically. So I guess trying to build their an off turn kind of situation. The reason that folks I'm hearing are not super cool with Dash, ignoring the fact that he's not dealing 80% per turn with the cam bullshit, it's a little it's hard to follow that regardless, is that he doesn't paralyze consistently on his own. So it's going to be hard to, those 2 turns of paralysis on the bosses, unless unless you do something probably suboptimal, you're probably going to need some additional form of disable. And his only other paralysis is RNG. You can't guarantee it's going to proc, which is really awkward. And so, first of all, I just want to real quick say I do love that this fight's FR is called Sneeze. I just think it's really funny that sneezes at you.
I forgot they double tap. He almost killed Cam there. Jesus.
Thank you, Addle. So the thing with Dash is, I mean, this is actually something I wanted to talk about with Cam as well. They both kind of have this within their kits. There's kind of this weird, like, it's sort of incongruous how their kits come together, because in both cases they have paralyze plus mitigation, plus like Cam has delay and Dash has healing. But like I look at that, there's kind of a weird like dissonance of sorts. He's looking like, why does this paralyzed character also prevent brave damage? And there are 2 ways you can look at it, and I'm not honestly sure which way I prefer to look at it. There's this kind of anti-synergizes with itself, because you're never going to need the mitigation if you keep them paralyzed the whole time, which I guess with RNG paralyzed you're not going to. But you can also look at it as, it's kind of layers of defense. Like with Cam, he keeps them paralyzed, but if for whatever reason they have a guaranteed hit like they just did, Raw lived because of that Addle debuff that Cam puts on them. Like, there's layers, so I guess you could kind of look at it that way instead. As for the FR, it is kind of awkward. I guess it's kind of pushing you to build a disabling team, which isn't the worst thing to do given that RCLA exists, although it's also a little bit embarrassing given that the best paralyzer we have is Ice Element and has a much better FR than Dash does. So it's kind of an awkward spot that he's in, I think. You could probably make him work, but I don't know if it's really going to be worth the effort. I mean, hey, it's probably better numbers than Cryo FR at this point, and he provides weakness damage along with healing and some non-consistent paralysis utility, right?
Blind Eye, do you have any thoughts on Cam? I mean, on Dash, because he is so utterly forgettable to me. But the one thing that I do want to point out is you did touch on was that force attacks and certain mechanics may just go straight through a paralyze. So paralyze is not the all automatic win as long as you keep it applied as it used to be. Ross says that, but can't remember until Amitalia.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if you covered that Fang is also a pretty nice candidate, and she does have some powerful utility to the party in addition to having a paralysis.
There you go. You could do a Fang Dash third team. That's an option. He doesn't champ, which is handy.
And if you're looking a little further into the future, she does get her rework pretty soon as well.
We focus on the present here, Blind Eye. We are in the here and now. I have no idea what Fang gets in the future. And I assume Daniel will tell us when the time's right. We don't play that beta version. Beta. But yeah, so Dash is Cross. I think puts it pretty well in the chat. Dash is a good character. I think his FR is not a great FR because if you take the paralyzed chance as a bonus, he provides healing. Bonus. He provides healing. He provides enchant imperil. He provides 99% brave damage reduction, which is pretty nutso. Magic or physical, you have to choose it, but
For sure. Also, I'm gonna have to head on out, guys.
Alrighty.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
It's okay, Blind. Thank you for joining us. We will catch you later. Ron and I will take us home before we'll mosey on over to TCC when they're getting their thing started up. No need to split the ballot, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good night, everyone.
Adios,
Yeah.
Blind Eye.
It was nice being here, and I'll catch you guys next week, hopefully.
Later, Blind Eye.
Peace.
We do need to touch on the fight a little bit. Like Blart said, tonight is TCC's 200th episode. We will send you over there. We'll send you over there as soon as they're live. But
there was one more character I guess we could touch on because it's actually the character everyone's thinking about for Desh's banner.
Titus, not Titus. Machina.
Close. Machina. It is Machina's C90, the long-awaited Millionaire Trio starter, finishing the C90 run for those three, I guess. It's actually a fairly small touch-up, but it's one of those things where, like, just it modernizes him, and modernizing a character like that is kind of insane. He gets C90, so he could use Ultimate Weapon, and that's going to be scary. He also gets an HP attack on his counter. He gets more hits on his EX. He gets an additional HP attack on his spirals and follow-up / trap attack. And he gets a little bit of extra HP damage up, just added to the kit, why not? And so that all adds up to, I mean, he's still the same old Machina, except he's also a different Machina, because in addition to being just like, you know, you could go crazy, you know, BT plus spam with his attacks if you want to do like a, I mean, hey, if you want to do like a Cam cheese, he's probably the perfect unit to use with Cam right now, because he's just gonna,
Yes.
you know, HP plus launches. I mean, that's his deal, right? But if you wanted to play a different game, you could actually bring him off turn, and he's going to be doing, you know, he's every turn that, you know, he'll be doing his trap attacks on the bosses. That's 2 split HP attacks, non-elemental, so you can enchant them with like a Cryo if you want to go Cryo elemental. And hey, he has a counter attack in there too, just to, you know, to add to that, so he can go off turns, which is pretty neat. And having played Galuf, I can tell you, you know, they'll trigger separately for things like, you know, if you, I don't know, if you're using an off-turn FR like Cryo or whatever, and the boss hits an AoE attack and doesn't kill you, then, you know, his trap goes off on their turn and his counter goes off, and those will, I believe, separately tick up the FR gauge, which is kind of nifty. It's not obviously a selling point. This is just adding to kind of the Machina thing. But, bro, I think Machina guy is going to be ready to make a return.
Is Machina guy needs to trade in one of his great swords for a regular sword.
You think that, but I've had the regular sword in my back pocket this whole time.
Okay. So you really are Machina guy.
I'm Machina guy. Well, I was for a while. I think I still probably not going on the YouTubes for a little while. Oh, she's asleep right now. She's down in a little chair right next to me. She's asleep.
She's
man.
She's sleeping on Desh. Shout out Treevoid, by the way. Treevoid with the resub. We appreciate that. What time is it? We're about to kill this guy, and but yeah, Machina he's perfect timing. People have been talking about him with the Cam thing. Everybody loves these overhyped, built up, not what exploits.
Having played Machina, I don't know if I would go as far as to say overhyped. To be honest with you.
No, I'm talking about the Cam exploit. The Cam exploit's overhyped,
yeah.
and he just fits perfectly time wise, and he is that character. If you're gonna bring a call for the ice on, put Kursame on ice on Kane. I mean, Jesus, on Cam, bring Selfie for the launch or whatever. Then the perfect third would be Machina. He just does ridiculous damage, and in chat we're seeing the overhyped. I meant the Cam thing. That's not overhyped. It's really, really well hyped, but the point remains.
Very, very popular and well known.
Like Snow.
It's like Machina falls kind of into the thing with Cam and with Snow, where like people think of one thing. In this case, you know, Machina, his crazy burst phases, which are still a signature of his. And you know, he still kind of to this day has been outperforming lots of C90 characters, but he's also going to get this added component as an off-turn character, which is cool because off-turn is going to become a more important thing going forward. There are going to be more off-turn FRs, and also Machina himself will be getting an FR, which just adds to this. I mean, the thing is, you don't need to pull from here if you don't want to. Like, being honest with you, I think we have enough characters. Like, if you don't have Machina, you could theoretically wait until his FR, but he's also just really good.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I think he's if you're gonna pull in the Desh banner, he's probably the target, and Desh is the side benefit, which is kind of funny.
right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Reality Theorist testing with Machina and hit about 115 million in FR time.
Um,
Yeah, that was nuts.
Uzumaki with a good point. Machina Sid Rain's call, no selfie necessary. That will do all of Machina's HP plus whatever. He'll instigate the launch himself, and then if he's ice enchanted, you'll still do the 88 if he's force leveled as well. But let's just talk about this fight just real quick.
Oh yeah.
We'll go through Machina next week. I have him green, so I'll be able to use him on stream.
Oh yeah.
But this fight was pretty rough. If you didn't have Cam, as you can see, Cam just kind of makes Cam makes just a complete and utter mockery of it. But for a fun little challenge, just do it without Cam. That's a good baseline for the challenge, even with other FRs and stuff. Oren is incredibly good here again. But did you have any thoughts on this fight? Or who you brought?
I like what they're doing here because there were a couple of things at play in my head. One was I was like, okay, well, it's Kam'lanaut. They're gonna make it a paralyzed fight, right? It's a paralyzed fight, and like it is, but it also kind of isn't because when they're not in FR mode, they're not doing the bullshit instant kill attacks, and so you can bring counterattack characters, especially since the turtle is often in frame turn mode. Maybe you want to bring like a. I enjoyed bringing Celeste here, Galuf, Orin, like you said. People, there are people bringing Keistis to deal with the frame turns, so like no turning is an option. But when they go into the FR mode, then you need that paralyze, and so that for me is part of how the 6-man appeal came is. You can play kind of a more aggressive enemy phase counterattacking kind of team, and then once they're in FR, switch it out, bring in the paralyze, and keep them locked down if you want to go that way. The other piece of it, with 6-man, I think the thing that informs the design, I think, is kind of modality. It's saying, like, okay, something is needed now. Oh, wait, something else is needed now. I think the beta was like physical and magic damage or something like that, if I remember right. And with this, the turtle is elemental resist or non-elemental resist throughout the fight. It switches between the two of them. And so you saw there, Raw switched out his Cam for Zidane and started dealing good damage. And I appreciated the design there. I liked the things. If our attack is called Sneeze, I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And I actually ran through it a few different times to see what's good kind of in the fight. I did the Cam cheese and that. Blew it up in about 30 turns. I feel like I probably did it. I wasn't super efficient about it. I don't know. But tried it with Cryo FR, and that took a goddamn age, like you said.
Yeah, and the elemental resist for the turtle. First off, you have to hit him with ice, or he'll kill you. You don't have to bring Cam.
Yeah.
You have to hit him with ice, or else like he goes into rage mode. You hit him with the ice, and he calms down a little bit.
Yes, that is true. He even ignores paralyze, if I remember right. If you don't hit him with the ice, so you got to hit him with that ice. But again, this one listening was like, oh, okay, so you need me to hit him with the with the Kurosame base call. Gotcha. So this isn't really pulling us out of our comfort zone there. But hey, I actually noticed that turtle is kind of fast. Like I had to reset a lot of my runs just because it was like, okay, my turn order is just Kane, who doesn't have Kurosame call, and like then the turtle, and then two characters, one of whom has my ice damage. It's like short of like some kind of goofy, swap out AA, swap out kind of business. Like you're done, which was a little annoying, but that's just kind of the way the fight goes sometimes. I did actually do a non-FR. Oh no, sorry, Baby Bl'Art did a non-FR run of this fight. That's the bit that I'm doing now. Is anytime I do a non-FR run, I credit it to Baby Bl'Art. Gives her that pedigree, which was actually a lot of fun. It was a Terra kind of situation. It was Terra, Kane, Garnet, and then like Selfie, Arciella for the FR time, and Vincent for cleanup, which worked surprisingly well. But Arciella was an MVP here because she continues to just pay dividends for those of you who pulled Arciella.
That HP silence, man.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and that's she just does so much. We're not here to talk about Arciella, but man, Arciella. Then we got the she has the HP silence, the Brave gains off, the healing, the bugged auras. People talk about like the bugs. the exploits at Cam. Like Hope and RCL have had like that doubled bugged attack aura for like years now. It feels like. Yeah, Reality Theorist is right. Baby Lore is gonna free pull Dash FR on the free pull.
And D-Knight in chat, yeah, you don't have to worry about that. We are going to wrap things up simultaneously, so that we can send you guys all over there.
I don't know why I was trying to speak over you while you were saying exactly what you just did. I guess I'm just on a roll tonight. No need to worry about that D-Night. When the Crystal Chronicles is live, we will hop on over there.
And it is their 200th episode.
It is their 200th episode. We want to celebrate with them. Celebrate with Mark and Mino Spellgood, who is here in the chat.
Shout out Mino Spellgood.
Everyone say hi to Mino.
The fight, I forget what else I wanted to point out. It can be dangerous. The lion has to die first because in force time it will just instant kill someone if it gets a turn. I think it's
funny.
What were we saying?
No. It's funny you said that. I have a different approach, but you keep going.
So Christus was a huge major use here because you can delay them to eternity when the turtle's not locked down. But essentially, I liked the push and pull of this fight. It definitely feels dangerous if you don't have Cam because you have to think about if you're not pushing them all the way out, when to give them turns if you're trying to see out their force time. When to and which one to give turns because the lion, like I said, in force time he's deadly. So it definitely asked some questions it was fun to unlock.
It's very true. It was funny. I think I killed the turtle the first time every time just because he'd be in his frame turns, and so I'd have to kill him first because like whatever strategy I was using, he was going to run out of debuffs or something first, just as a random thing. But yeah, I think. The lion was. They're both scary in their own way, but oof, that lion. Ooh, I think that about wraps it up for our discussions for the week. Does it not?
I believe so, man. We'll be back on Monday with we got one event or two events between now and Monday.
I want to say we have tonight's Desh event, and then we probably have the Titus raid, but I do not know for sure.
Okay. Hopefully, Mino's asking where Some Girl is. Some Girl is taking a week off for health and safety reasons. She's just relaxing and enjoying her summer. So shout out Somegi. Hopefully she'll be back next week.
Yeah. Cool. Well, with that, Blind Eye, any thoughts? It's funny because his avatar's still on the screen. He's not here though. He's pieced out.
He took the I don't know how to do this. I think I did it. Either way, we'll be back next week. As you can see here, this fight took me a while, but this is with the cam cheese, it's pretty much free.
If not quick, at least straightforward.
Right. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week, and we appreciate you hanging out with us.
Adios, team.
No, I don't know if we're still alive or not. You know how that goes.
No, it just jumped me into Crystal Chronicles.
Okay.